It was a little hard to hear over the murmurs of the crowd, especially for those standing among the later arrivals. They were not in the best position to hear what was being said, something to the effect of, "Welcome to Spingview. It is a great and blah blah occasion. Blah on behalf of blah blah day, blah blah. The grand tourney, blah blah blah. I, head counselor, blah blah. Introduce blah. Will now, blah blah. Rules of the tourney, blah blah. Thank you." The official-looking guy, who did at least manage to get across his title of head counselor, got down off the podium. Confused looks were passed among those that were unable to hear him properly during his speech. This was apparently most of the gathered crowd. Chatter started up and kept getting louder as people tried to be heard by those around them. Then, a rough-looking fellow who looked to have seen his fair share of fights stepped onto the podium. His armor looked to be of relatively low quality, but well maintained. He had some sort of insignia on his shoulder. The man paused for silence, and when he didn't get it, yelled very loudly, "Right, you lot, shut up." Silence descended over the town almost instantly. Even the birds seemed to have decided to be quiet for him. After his grand, high-volume entrance, it was interesting to note that the captain of the militia is actually quite a well-spoken man, and not just a thug. "As head of the local militia, the council have decided I am most qualified to run this event. They have provided me with instructions on how it is to be run, and I will now pass these on to the competitors," he said. "Firstly, this tourney will be run as a team event. The council believe it is good to encourage teamwork in society as a whole. We are looking at having small teams, lords, team up with your squires and men-at-arms. Those that have traveled here in a group feel free to group with your friends," he continued. "Where are those militia boys?" he inquired, looking around, and then, spotting them in the crowd, he addressed them directly. "Ah, there you are, lads. I'm running this event, so I can't compete and lead you, but I still want you to have the opportunity to compete, so old Farmer Jim will lead you today." The militia captain then went back to addressing the whole crowd. "Everyone else that is left, come and see me once the rules briefing has concluded. I will put you into groups. This tourney will run on a points system revolving around these trophy sticks," said the militia captain as he held up an iron stick. Pointy at one end, several feet long, and at the other end, an L-shaped handle. "A full trophy stick is worth 1 point. Each team member may carry only 1 trophy stick at a time. Full ones can be traded for empty ones at the tally point right here at this podium. These sticks are to be filled with rats. 6 normal-sized rats on a stick is considered a full trophy stick. Alternatively, 1 giant rat will fill a stick by itself," instructed the captain. "There are several areas where I suggest teams should look for rats. Around the village dwellings, near the granary, the fields, the area around the spring, and the forested area just beyond the spring," he suggested. "If, at the end of the points scoring phase, we have a draw, the winning team will be decided through a skill-at-arms contest," the captain concluded. Then the murmuring started as people began to organize themselves into groups, and some of the nobles started to heckle the captain with comments like, "Call this a tourney. Should have known better than to come to this bumpkin town." Another nobleman snickered. "Why not just hire a rat catcher?" some of the nobles began to exit the area, not interested in this tournament, leaving in search of a competition more to their liking, until one extremely well-dressed lord piped up. "I, Lord Furion, and my men will stay and compete in this unique and inventive event. We commend the people of Spingview for their creative problem-solving and look forward to this interesting challenge, and the wider variety of opponents it enables to compete." The guard captain spoke again. "Thank you for your kind words, my lord. I am sure it will be an enjoyable event for all involved. The event will commence in about 1 hour. Now let's get the teams registered. Several of our council members are taking care of that. Everyone that does not yet have a team, meet me in the clearing over there in a few minutes' time," the captain said as he pointed to a spot. Everyone looked where he pointed. A few minutes passed. The pre-formed teams were in the process of registration, and all the rest of the competitors that did not yet have a group made their way to the clearing with the guard captain to form a team. Now, getting a closer look, those in the clearing could see that the captain was an older man. Hair and beard having turned both completely white, he had a large prominent scar bisecting his face diagonally. It did not have the look of a scar formed from a recent injury. The guard captain addressed his now much smaller audience. "Well, this is a varied lot we have here. Welcome to Spingview. I am Captain Volterinus. I would say there are about 3 teams' worth of people here. I will randomly split you into groups. Then I suggest that you go and register with the council members. Then get to know your new team members. Perhaps have a quick drink at the tavern or something. Teamwork and organization will be vital in this challenge, and you are competing against some relatively well-organized groups here today. Okay, Team 1. You, and you. Wear these blue ribbons in case you somehow forget who is on your team," said the captain as he pointed at 5 random people and gave them all a blue ribbon to wear before sending them over to the registration area. "Now for the other team markers. I have these pink tabards from last year's village play and these pin-on flower arrangements. I only have 3 tabards available, so you 6 will need to form a team and wear these flower arrangements," the captain said as he pointed to 6 random, grubby-looking farmers and sent them off. The captain now addressed Darren, Mattis, and Sister Silvera, who were the only remaining competitors yet to be added to a team. "I noticed you 3 seem to be carrying a better standard of equipment than the people I put into the other groups. That is why I specifically put you all in a smaller group. Sorry about the ugly tabards. I wish you all the best of luck. Now go register." The freshly minted party of pink tabard wearers registered for the event and headed to the tavern for introductions and a few quick refreshments. On the way to the tavern, Mattis commented, "I have been in town for a while now. I came in early with the cheese merchant. I gave the barkeep a large tip to hold me a table before heading out to the square." As promised, when they entered the tavern, the barkeep showed them to a reserved table and brought them a round of ales like they were some sort of VIPs or royalty. Darren looked at Mattis and raised an eyebrow, to which he responded, "Like I said, large tip." The 3 made small talk, exchanged names, and shared where they had traveled from. Darren intentionally left out the part about Furion's orders. The 2 young nobles were a bit shocked when Sister Silvera introduced herself. They asked how they should address her, being unsure of the correct etiquette, but she responded with, I have only had a name for about a week now. I have spent my entire life being called child or daughter, so whatever you feel like, really, I don't mind." In no time, the bell in the square rang, indicating a few minutes until the start of the event. A quick decision was made that they would start in the residential area of town, because it was the closest option suggested, and they could maybe get some points on the board quickly. As a smaller group, they were going to have to make quick returns to keep up with the score. The party went off and searched around the houses and cottages in Spingview. It appears a good number of the houses were locked up, since most of the villagers were milling around the town square and the tavern for the duration of the event. Rats of various sizes were scampering around, being chased by various teams of competitors, using a wide variety of implements, farming tools, weapons, or just plain old sticks. The occasional competitor walked past with a semi-full trophy stick, patrolling for rats around the small streets and alleyways of the residential area, and seeing the sheer number of competitors that also thought this was the place to be, it became apparent that it would be more efficient to somehow find a few large rats as quickly as possible, fill the sticks, and go elsewhere. Trying to individually hunt down large numbers of small rats, as everyone else seemed to be doing, was going to be too slow. They all scattered every time one was lunged at. A shrill scream was heard not far from the party's location, followed by what was best described as the sound of someone that was in hysterics. The source was located. A village woman was standing on a little bench on her balcony, beating at two giant rats with what looked to be a rug beater that was being used previously in the balcony area on her rugs. The giant rats were trying to attack her. The party moved to assist the villager. The giant rats were much more aggressive than their smaller cousins, actually fighting back with claws and teeth. This was not much of a problem for Darren and Sister Silvara, as they were in armor, so the rats had to be lucky to cause injury. But Mattis did receive a painful bite to the forearm when one lunged for his throat, and he stuck an arm out to protect himself. He quickly dispatched the rat with his dagger so it would stop gnawing, whilst the second one was dispatched with a quick bashing to the head with Sister Silvara's mace. This filled 2 trophy sticks in the process. Sister Silvara did a quick healing spell on Mattis's wounded arm and asked him to please be more careful, because there was a limit to how many times a day she could do it. Mattis understood, because he was also somewhat limited spells-wise as a novice mage. He was also trying to save his spells in case things got tricky later in the event. Continuing their patrol, the party then walked past a house where someone was shooing a giant rat out of their door with a broom. The party moved in to intercept. Darren was the closest. A quick slash of his sword, and the rat was filling the 3rd stick. On the way back to hand in their sticks, the party passed a secluded corner of the residential area where they found a 4th giant rat gnawing on some mystery meat. Mattis asked the others to hang back for a second so he could try to throw a couple of daggers for practice. They turned around to confirm they were fine with this, and somehow, whilst they were not looking, he had produced what could best be described as a bandolier of daggers from somewhere in his assorted packs and pouches. It held a total of 6 daggers. The first dagger flew well wide of its mark and stuck into a wooden board that formed the outer wall of the house. The rat was too engrossed in its meal to notice, allowing Mattis to take another shot. The second one stuck true almost instantly, killing the big rat. On closer inspection, this large rat's meal appeared to be the remains of a smaller rat. The body of this giant rat was temporarily stashed in a bag for later. There was no available space on any trophy stick, so they would wait to get more sticks so they could hand it in too. Mattis returned the daggers to his bandolier, and they headed back to the tally point in the town square to put a score on the board.